I never thought an abandoned church could feel so alive. Every step I took, my heart raced faster, and the air felt heavier with secrets. What we found inside was unlike anything anyone has seen before. Stick around, because this isn't just exploration, it's a discovery you won't forget. If you love real haunted adventures and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me on every eerie exploration. One story. We entered an abandoned church. Someone was already inside. It was one of those evenings when the sky hung low and heavy, clouds swallowing the last bit of light. Me and my friend Jason had been exploring abandoned places for a few months now, but that day, the idea of stepping inside the old St. Mark's Church felt different. We had driven past it a few times before, always noticing how the wooden doors sagged and the windows were half shattered. There was an unspoken warning in the air, but curiosity got the better of us. We parked the car a few blocks away and walked down the cracked path, crunching leaves under our feet. The closer we got, the more I noticed the smell, a mix of damp wood, mildew, and something else I couldn't place. It felt alive, almost like the building was breathing around us. Jason tried to joke, maybe someone still prays here at midnight, but even he didn't sound convincing. My stomach tightened with a mix of fear and excitement. This was the kind of adrenaline that made me feel alive. When we finally reached the entrance, the heavy doors creaked as we pushed them open. The sound echoed so loudly it startled me. The inside was cloaked in darkness, but broken sunlight streamed through the shattered stained glass, painting the dusty floor in eerie colors. I shined my flashlight slowly across the pews and the altar, half expecting to see shadows move, half hoping to see nothing at all. As we moved further inside, I noticed something odd. One of the pews, closer to the altar, had a coat draped over it, old and dusty, but clearly not decades old. My heart skipped a beat. Jason froze too. "Did someone just leave that?" I whispered. We hadn't seen a single soul outside. The sound of our footsteps seemed louder now, echoing off the stone walls. We continued cautiously, our flashlights scanning every corner. Then I heard it, a soft shuffle, almost like someone moving behind the altar. I spun around, but the shadows were still. Jason's face went pale. "I swear I just heard something," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I tried to tell myself it was just the wind, but the air inside was still. There was no breeze. We crept closer to the sound, our flashlights revealing the altar in detail, broken candles, cobwebs, and an old Bible lying open. Then I noticed footprints in the thick layer of dust, not ours, not old. They were fresh, leading from the back of the church to the altar. A chill ran down my spine. Someone had been here recently. Suddenly, a door at the side of the church clicked. I swear it wasn't us. We froze, holding our breaths. Then the sound of light footsteps echoed, slow and deliberate, moving away from us. I wanted to call out, but my throat went dry. Jason grabbed my arm, shaking his head, signaling to stay quiet. The tension in the air was suffocating. We decided to retreat slowly, moving back toward the entrance. As we did, I kept glancing around, half expecting to see a figure in the shadows, but nothing appeared. Only the quiet hum of the abandoned building and the faint smell of old wood. When we finally stepped outside, I felt my knees shake. We didn't speak for a few minutes, just staring at the church, realizing we had narrowly avoided something we couldn't explain. Even now, when I think about that night, I can't shake the feeling that someone was inside before we even arrived. The footprints, the shuffled sounds, the coat on the pew, every detail was real, every sense heightened by the silence of the place. I can't prove who it was or why they were there, but I know one thing for sure. That church wasn't empty. And sometimes, I wonder if it ever really will be. 2 story, we heard whispering inside an empty church. It was a cold autumn evening when I decided to check out the old St. Gabriel's Church. I had been passing by it for weeks, noticing the broken windows and the worn-out cross on the roof. Something about it drew me in, even though I felt uneasy every time I got close. That night, I called my friend Lily, who loved exploring abandoned places as much as I did. She was hesitant, but eventually agreed. We parked a block away and walked slowly, the wind rustling dead leaves around us. I remember my heart pounding, not just from excitement, but from a sense that we weren't supposed to be there. The door to the church groaned as we pushed it open, and the darkness inside seemed to swallow our flashlights. The smell of damp wood and mold hit me immediately, sharper than usual. Lily whispered, "It feels alive in here." I nodded, my hand gripping the flashlight tightly. The inside was empty, or at least it looked empty. Dust covered the pews, and the altar had decayed candles that hadn't been touched for years. But the moment I took a step further, I felt a cold draft brush past my neck, like someone had just walked by. We started exploring carefully, our footsteps echoing loudly in the empty space. I remember thinking how unnatural it felt that no birds or animals had found their way in, that there was complete silence apart from us. Then I heard it, a faint whisper. At first, I thought Lily was talking, but she was silent, frozen beside me. The whispering continued, soft and almost melodic, coming from the back of the church. I froze, unsure if my mind was playing tricks on me. Lily's hand gripped mine. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded, too scared to speak. We followed the sounds slowly, moving toward the rear of the church where the shadows pooled the deepest. The whispering wasn't coherent, just a series of soft syllables, almost like someone reciting prayers under their breath. My stomach churned, part of me fascinated, part of me terrified. The air grew colder, and my breath fogged in front of me. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the wind passing through broken windows, maybe an old speaker somewhere, but it felt deliberate, intentional. As we reached the old confessional near the back, the whispering stopped suddenly. The silence was worse than the sound, pressing down on us. I remember glancing at the dusty pews around the confessional and noticing footprints that hadn't been there before. Fresh footprints, small and hesitant, leading from the side door to the confessional. My heart nearly stopped. Someone had been inside, but we hadn't seen a soul. I could feel Lily's fear. Her grip on my arm was tight enough to hurt. Then the whispering started again, this time from directly above us. The balcony, long abandoned, creaked as if someone was walking across it. I shone my flashlight upward, but the shadows revealed nothing. My mind raced with every possible explanation, none of them satisfactory. Something was here with us, and it wasn't making its presence obvious. I could feel the hairs on my arms standing on end, and a chill ran down my spine. We decided to leave slowly, trying to stay calm and not draw attention to ourselves. Every step toward the exit felt heavier than the last, as if the church itself was aware of our movement and disapproving. As we pushed the door open and stepped outside, the whispering ceased entirely. The night air felt normal again, yet the feeling of being watched lingered long after we left. We didn't speak much on the way home, each of us processing the experience silently. Even now, when I think about that night, I can't explain what we heard. The footprints, the sudden cold drafts, the soft voices, it all felt real, and I know I'm not imagining it. That church wasn't just abandoned, it was alive in its own way. Something unseen, something deliberate was there that night, and part of me wonders, if we go back, will it still be whispering to us, or will it wait patiently until we enter again?
3. Story. This church had signs of recent activity. It was a late evening when my friend Alex and I decided to explore the old abandoned St. Clair's Church. We had driven past it countless times, always noticing the broken stained glass and the doors hanging off their hinges. Something about it always gave me chills, yet I couldn't resist. That day, the sky was gray and heavy, the kind of weather that makes every shadow feel alive. Alex parked a block away, and we walked toward the church, crunching the dead leaves beneath our boots. The closer we got, the more I noticed the smell, a mix of mold, wet wood, and something faintly metallic. My stomach tightened, but excitement pushed me forward. We reached the entrance, and the heavy doors groaned as we pushed them open. Inside, the church was cloaked in shadows, dust motes floating in the weak light streaming through the shattered windows. The air was stale, but not entirely empty. Something had been here recently. I couldn't explain it, but the faint scuff marks on the wooden floor caught my eye. Alex noticed them too, pointing to small footprints near the pews. "They're fresh," he whispered. My heart skipped a beat. How could anyone have been here? The place was supposed to be abandoned for years. We moved further in, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Broken pews, rotting hymn books, and shattered candles littered the floor. Then I noticed it. A candle stub with melted wax that looked much too recent to be decades old. My pulse quickened. Someone had been here not long ago. I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. The church, though empty of people at the moment, had been alive in a way that made my skin crawl. As we explored, we came across a small side door that led to a tiny room behind the altar. The floorboards were scuffed, and on the wall we noticed fresh scratch marks, as if someone or something had tried to climb or push against it. I swallowed hard, my hands trembling slightly as I shined my flashlight across the marks. Alex took a step back, whispering, "Did you see that?" I nodded, unable to speak. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but curiosity held me in place. Suddenly, the sound of soft footsteps echoed from the balcony above. I froze, my flashlight trembling in my hands. There was no wind, no one else we could see, yet the sound of deliberate movement was unmistakable. Alex and I exchanged glances, both silently agreeing that this was far beyond anything we had experienced before. The footsteps stopped abruptly, leaving only the heavy silence, thicker and more oppressive than before. I could feel my chest tightening, my pulse pounding in my ears. Then we noticed the pews closer to the exit. Someone had moved them, not years ago, recently. The arrangement was slightly off, as if someone had been pacing back and forth, thinking, waiting, or perhaps hiding. A chill ran through me, and I realized we weren't alone here, even if we couldn't see them. My mind raced with possibilities, none of them comforting. Every sound, the creak of the floor, the distant drip of water, even our own breathing seemed amplified in the tense air. We decided to leave, moving toward the door as slowly and quietly as we could. Each step felt heavier than the last, and every shadow seemed to stretch towards us. As we stepped outside, the cold night air hit me like a wave, and I realized how tense I had been. Alex was silent, staring back at the church. "Did we really just—" he started, but I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The signs of recent activity, the footprints, the scuffed floors, the fresh candle wax were proof enough. Something had been here, watching, waiting, or hiding, and somehow I knew it still was. Even now, thinking back to that night, I can't explain who or what had been in the church before us. The air, the subtle signs, the noises, they all felt real. That abandoned church wasn't as empty as it seemed, and every time I pass by it now, I can't help but wonder if it's still alive, silently observing anyone who dares to step inside.